Now, across the board, I think we're almost in agreement with any therapy that really, what we call creates healing. Now, healing is very different than making something going away or treating symptoms, you know. And I think there's a great quote in The Healing Brain, and René Dubois, and they talk about that healing is very different, that the organism is very much different, the person is very much different than when they first started. It isn't simply making the symptom go away. It's not simply making the complaint go away. It's creative adaptation, evolutionary development of that parts of the brain. Is, you know, again, these are a lot of theories. We don't know absolutely for sure, and I'm sure we'll learn a lot more as we go along. But in a practical basis, when we see somebody go through healing, their ability to interact with everyday life stress, and they may have suffered with conditions that they've spent half their life on going to medical doctors or alternative doctors, doesn't matter, that they move past, and now they get a different view. They see that from their pain, from their suffering, from that early traumatization, there's this whole body of new knowledge that opens up, that they get to a place where they actually bless the problem that happened to them, right? Bless the cancer, bless the disease.
How can I bless that if I'm having a bulge and herniation?
Not at that level, right? Not at that level. So it doesn't matter if it's in theology, or you'll always hear people saying, you know, if it wasn't for that difficult experience, if it wasn't for what I went through, I wouldn't have found myself. But when you're in it, all you can think about is like, make this thing go away. I just want to go back to the way things were. And we can't expect or put these expectations on people or make people feel right or wrong because they're not able to do it. But the most important thing is that we begin to create in all our office, whether it's in a mental health or psychotherapist office, whether it's in a physical therapist, whether it's in a chiropractor, whether it's in an oncologist office, right? That we begin to learn how to create a safe place, right? Because a safe place isn't just something mentally. There's a safe place that has to be, the physiology of the body must be able to entrain with that frequency. When it does, the nervous system, the brain, especially that lower brain survival center that we were hinting on, gets that, you know what? It's okay to come out of my shell. But you better be ready when the person starts coming out of the shell. You better be there and ready to catch them, right? You better be ready to support them. So unified therapy is about going to all the different professions, and we don't necessarily have to change what they're doing. We want to add to it. We want to give them skills, whether it's in physical medicine, whether it's in mental health, whether it's in people even in that are looking for higher states of consciousness. You know, there's a huge movement of looking for consciousness and quote-unquote spiritual experience. I can honestly say for the first time, I think we really have a way to open that doorway for people. But when we open that doorway, you have to be trained for what you're going to come up against, because not all of it's going to make sense. You're going to come up against a thing, as you know, implicit memory. And we know that trauma a lot of times has to do with what we believe implicit memory. So, well, what's an implicit memory? You know, so an implicit memory is when you first learn to ride a bicycle. Okay, so when you first learn a bicycle, you don't have to keep practicing to ride the bicycle. You can put it down for 10 years and it'll still be there. Or a woman may have advanced Alzheimer's, and yet she sits down and plays a perfect piano sonata, right? Because it's a different type of memory. But we also see, unfortunately, a lot of stress and trauma are stored as implicit memory and what we call procedural memory. And if you don't know how to deal with it like that, it becomes very, very, very difficult and tricky. And these memories are often stored, again, as bodily states of feeling, etc. And, of course, the trickiest thing is when one does experience these, they're often as real as the first time they felt them. And so what do we learn to do as human beings? We do everything in our power to avoid that. We do everything in our power to stay away from it. And only the most skilled, again, I repeat, only the most skilled therapist will have the ability to lead that person out of that dark place. There's a very specific way. Implicit memory is probably a result of so much dysfunction and suffering in the world today, including all addictions that I know of, and people being overweight, and all these really bad habits. Because what happens is, as we mostly know, that people that, say you're overweight, say you're 300 pounds, the doctor says you have diabetes, and then, you know, Mrs. Jones, it's very possible you're going to lose a few toes next time, right? Or your heart's going to give up and you're going to die. They still can't change it, right? Because there's a set of skills that they have to develop, right? A set of skills that are often called soft skills. You know, to quote a very famous economist, James Heckman, Nobel Prize winner. But again, through his own consciousness and waking up, starting to realize, hey, you know what, we don't need so much cognitive skills. You know, what is the size of, where's Antarctica located? What is the capital of New Jersey? Whatever, right? Those are okay, but what we really need to start focusing on is more of these other skills, which seem to belong to that frontal cortex. In fact, we know Siegel, whose beautiful body of work has located maybe 9 major functions that, which include empathy, compassion, affect regulation, being able to regulate your own emotions. So these are all real doable things. They just have to be done right, and it takes a very skilled therapist. And so unified therapy is going into already existing people and professionals and trying to teach them those skills so they can help others, right? So, and we could all kind of be on the same page that the current understanding of what it means to be a human being has to be changed. And that if we look at therapy as a whole, and healthcare, we are headed in a really bad direction. We're not heading in a direction. The World Health Organization, many others agree. You can see it presently that if we continue at this present rate, say of obesity and metabolic disease and diabetes, which is hitting our children, etc., amongst many, many other conditions, the entire system is going to collapse. And we have to work as a group to change things.